Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Tuesday. My name is Ultra David. With me is Mr. James Chen.
How's everyone going?
Thanks for joining us tonight. Tonight we have a few different topics to talk about, kind of a potpourri. We didn't want to really concentrate on one thing because there was a lot going on.
Right. So, I guess we'll summarize a lot of the things that we're going to talk about.
Sure.
Just recently Sanford came out with a video. I guess he was on stream and he just started talking about the East Coast a little bit. And a lot of people have actually asked us what our thoughts on that was. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Earlier on Twitter today, I got into a little... my standard Twitter, blah, 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 blah stuff rampage that I normally do. Kind of about some people's attitudes towards, not specifically Persona 4, but towards those other games that are coming out, and we'll get into that in more detail. And then, of course, we're going to talk a little bit as well about the Cross Tekken DLC that's just come out recently, but yeah. So let's go ahead and get started with Sanford stuff, perhaps, here. Or
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because some people say that there's static that they can hear. Other people say that there is no issue. So...
hearing some buzzing.
Anything loose?
Not that I know of. Everything here. Let me do this. Is that better? Is that better, guys? Okay.
It's fine. People say, I don't know.
Oh, whatever. Okay, it should be okay now, in any case, so...
Okay, fine. It's not the end of the world. Let me just play a little bit of this. You can hear it from Sanford.
Did you mute the dashboard?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Let's go. Wait, hold on. Wow. I am so terrible at this.
East Coast itself has gotten very, very lazy.
Can you guys hear this?
Explain why. The reason why I feel the East Coast has gotten lazy is because there should be no reason, right? Now, we all have skill. We all play games a lot. Some have, we have jobs and shit on the side. We do things on the side. We don't play games all day, but we all know how to play the game. It's just the execution that it comes down to. The intelligence is there. Everybody's like intelligent in their own way. It's just the thing about it is, I cannot accept that one person is dominating a game. It should not be that way. Chris G should not win 95% of the Marvel 3 tournaments. Yes, Chris G is good, but other people are good too. It's just that people are not hungry enough to beat him. People don't do it.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty good rundown of more or less what he was saying. Basically, his point was that he thinks that the East Coast has gotten a little soft, a little bit lazy. They're not doing what it takes to win in the face of somebody dominating most of their tournaments. That guy being Chris G in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Right. And, a lot of people have been asking us our opinion on what he's been talking about.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I think it's really cool. I mean, I don't know necessarily if it's justified, because Chris G is really good. And, I find it kind of funny because for a long time, even when East Coast was the best at MVC2, the only person winning was Justin.
Right.
Right? But to Sanford's credit, he's sitting here talking about this, and Justin was undefeated in Marvel 2 for like years, right? Like literally undefeated.
Right.
And the first person to ever beat him in a tournament was Sanford Kelly.
Right.
So, of all people who can talk about it, probably Sanford. So,
of course.
Yeah, so he obviously has a drive for it. So, there should be definitely someone out there trying to challenge Chris G out there, because right now I'm not sure. I mean, there's obviously a lot of good players out there like Noel, like Marlon Pye and such, but he's basically, Sanford is just saying like it shouldn't be 95% of the time Chris G winning, so.
Right, so obviously he's speaking from a position where he knows what it's like to encounter somebody who is blowing everybody else up and do what it takes to get to a point where you can beat that guy. Mm-hmm. He's one of the prime examples of how that can happen. Get really hungry, and he, if you listen to the video, he kind of explains, he had to feel like he felt like he couldn't respect Justin. He felt like he Like he had to put on all this work to beat Justin. I feel like he couldn't let Justin seem to him like it was like he was above, like he was on a pedestal or anything like that. He had to do what it took, and ultimately he did. And he's trying to call out the East Coast for mostly losing to this one guy. So okay, I totally understand his position, and I think that he's right to some extent in Ultimate Marvel 3. So he mentions, okay, if you can't beat Chris with Ryu, for example, if starting Ryu is not going to work out,
Right.
Invest some time in a Dormammu team, invest some time in a MODOK team, invest some time in a Strider team, right? Like he mentions all these things that you could be doing that we don't see that many people doing. And I saw some people from the East Coast on Twitter after hearing this kind of be like, you know what, you're right. And this includes some real character specialists. Like I saw DJ Ocean put on Twitter something like, okay, I understand, and since Evo I've been trying to work to overcome what I've been very stubborn, right, in not wanting to switch my teams.
Right.
So yeah, I think that he has some amount of rightness there.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is that Marvel 3 is very different than Marvel 2. I mean, Justin obviously gave us the, at one time when we had a conversation with him, he gave us that kind of tier order on how the different teams beat each other, but it really only came down to, like, the top 3 teams and maybe a 4th team that can get in there, right? Marvel 3 is a lot different. So a lot of the players coming from Marvel 2 probably feel like they can just pick this one team and go at it and dominate most things because, to be honest, in Marvel 2, that's kind of how it worked. If you're using MSS or if you're using MSP, you had a chance to win any matchup. There wasn't like any
there were
team.
definitely matchups within those like 4 or so top tier teams. Like,
Right.
There were definitely matchups, and people had to understand how to play the teams that they needed to play to have a leg up
Right.
on somebody else who was using a team that that their team would do well at. And I actually think that sort of goes to his point. Like he's really used to that. He's used to this atmosphere where you have these teams that kind of beat each other in kind of like this round robin style, like A beats B, B beats C, et cetera, all the way back to A.
Right.
So he's used to this, and he sees people being very stubborn with the characters that they want to play, and not being willing to spend the time to learn another team, learn a counter. You see it very heavily in the statement where he says that he's been playing Sagat in AE 2012. We didn't get to this, but it's in the video. He says that in AE 2012, he plays Sagat. Sagat gets countered sometimes, so he's not going to win. He's not going to win consistently. Now, I think that that's wrong in that game, but I think that he's coming from a mindset where to lose a matchup is to be a counter, and so you have to have the ability to know enough characters or teams, if it's Marvel 3,
Right.
to not have bad matchups effectively.
Yeah, and I also want to point out, especially about Sagat, which actually kind of is funny, because Fubar Duck, I don't know if you saw what he tweeted. He just tweeted the most characters represented in Super Street Fighter 4 SBO.
Okay.
Third place was 5 Camis.
Wow.
Second place was 5 Kens.
Interesting, Ken.
And first place was 6 Sagats.
Is that so?
Yeah. So Sagat, Ken, and Cammy are the highest represented characters
Very
in that
interesting.
tournament.
Very interesting.
And we just went from saying Sagat gets countered, but
Right.
here he is. There's 6 of them.
Well,
in this
that's
tournament.
just as an aside. That's pretty interesting. I mean, 5 Cam for Cammy to be top 3 makes total sense to me. Ken actually had 2 reps in top 32 at
Right,
Evo,
right.
and Sagat, I don't know if he was represented.
I don't think he was represented at all.
Oh yeah.
so-
Anyway,
And
no.
you see all 3 characters. See the not great characters are.
Oh yeah, I'm
see,
sure.
yeah.
Right. Right. Anyway, no. So I think that when Sanford says counter, I think what he means is beat. In my mind, coming from a game like Super Turbo, to say that a character counters another character means that my character should win 7 or 8 times out of 10.
Right.
I feel like a counter is a blow up. Like, good luck, Cammy versus Honda, right?
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
luck. Whereas I think that in a game like Street Fighter, in
Street Fighter
A
4,
2012,
right? Yeah.
it's more like I have 6-4s and I have some 4-6 matchups, and maybe I have a 1 or 2 3-7s, but there are very few real blow-ups in the way that I'm accustomed to mentioning. And I feel like it's kind of the same way with Marvel too. Within that the sphere of the teams that were commonly played, especially Sanford and the guys in New York were playing. I don't feel like there's like an 8-2 destruction.
No.
So I think that he's used to talking about a counter as being just a match that you win, and I think that that past heavily informs that statement.
Right.
But as far as his statement about needing to counter or at least pick a team that does well against or better, even just better against the Morgan style team. I mean, he rips on Ray Ray at one point for picking Ryu
Against
in tournament
Morgan,
7 times.
Right.
And Sanford's like, come on, man! Like the 7th time, you still went with Ryu. Like it's just like a stubbornness to not figure things out.
Right. Well,
I think he's right.
The one thing I do want to point out also is that, for those people who haven't seen the video, I just pasted the link in the chat.
Okay.
But for those people who haven't seen it, Sanford is not saying anything bad about Chris G either.
No.
At one point, he's like, no, yo, Chris G is smart. So if he fights against Dormammu, he doesn't start Morrigan. He switches to Akuma first. He's like, Chris G is doing what it takes to win, and nobody else is. So he's not saying Chris G doesn't deserve to win.
Right.
What he's saying is that everybody needs to step up to his level and play intelligently like him. And I like this because, again, I've always talked about how rivalry is a key component to leveling up. And I like the fact that Sanford is telling everybody in the East Coast. So the way it works usually is if you can't get large scene rivalries, you want to find somebody else that's a little bit better than you and strive to beat him. And basically what Sanford's kind of doing is putting this target on Chris G, telling everybody in the East Coast, you need to beat this guy. Like, this guy needs to be defeated, and we need to step up to be able to defeat him. He's not saying, like, oh, he sucks, we should bounty kind of thing. No, he's literally saying our goal should be to defeat this guy. He didn't ever necessarily say that, they can accomplish it, but you just got to have that hunger to do it. And I really like that. And, Sanford, the best thing about it is, he has that hunger.
Right, he has credibility.
Yeah, he say that and he means it. And at the top 8 Evo, how many East Coast players were there? There were 4 SoCal players, if you count Justin Wong.
Yeah.
Filipino champ, Fruitsy. Who else was in there?
Chris
G. And the last player was I can't remember who the Flocker, right. So in other words, this area which MVC2 produced, basically, like when you had the team tournament in MVC2, a 5-on-5, when that 5 was Yipes, Justin, Sanford, Smooth Viper, and Demon Hyo, no one could beat him. Nobody could beat these guys except for maybe like some crazy specialist West Coast team, but they were always the challengers. Mm-hmm. So this area that produced that team of Marvel players, only Chris G is representing in that top 8.
Right, yeah. I mean, Flocker's not, obviously the geographic distance between these two is tremendous. And although they do meet up in tournaments sometimes, I don't think that's necessarily what Sanford's talking about when he says EC. I think he's talking about the Northeast, right? I feel like that's what people usually mean.
Philadelphia,
it's like
New Jersey,
mid of the country higher. Mm-hmm. It's not good that region that is so talented and has so many players only produced one guy who got to the top 8, and the guy was Chris G, who's the one he's talking about. I mean, credit to, like, I was impressed when Sanford was asked about Noel, what he thought about Noel, because in the past there's some beef. In fact, if you recall in Vanilla, he had a statement that was like, man, a game sucks when Noel Brown can be a top player in it, right? It was something like that.
Yeah, right? I remember that.
But, he gave props to Noel for going out to tournaments all the time and, like, trying to figure stuff out and really trying to maximize his team. But Noel Brown definitely has some teams that he's been working on and that he's actually, told other people about that they've really been working on. And,
right.
And I thought that was really cool that he's giving props like that now. And, for a guy like Sanford, ultimately, I think what really matters is whether you're good and whether you put in the time to be good.
Right.
And so he's coming from I mean, the reason that people slept on the well at the start was like, oh, he's, Justin's sidekick. Like,
Right, exactly.
Who's this dude? He's just showed up and he's good at this game. It's got to be sucking. But he's put in so much time that he's won over Sanford's respect. And I think that there are plenty of other players in the East Coast who put in time, who could be, not that you want to, I mean, you don't need to get Sanford's respect. That's not like the thing. The thing is to win. And I think that there are lots of players who could be doing it. I mean, for sure, they have a ton of talented people, a ton of talented players, and some very creative and intelligent players. Yeah. But I think that he's right that they have been, to a large degree, stubborn about how they wanted to play the game.
Right.
And that they didn't quite think of it as being a game where you need to counter with teams rather than just with strategies.
Yeah, I mean, the really interesting thing about that Morgan team is it's a very counterable team. Because there's a definite style to it. There's a definite tactic. So there is a way to strategically fight against this team.
Right.
And nobody's taking the time to do that. And it's not even just East Coast. I feel like it's most of the Marvel community is not doing what it takes to counter those
against Morgan.
Yeah, against Morgan, or even just like Phoenix strategies. And,
right. I mean, we haven't in the West Coast. We haven't really had to develop that. It's only when we fight against Chris G. But that said, I mean, I remember after UFGT, and then after CEO, but especially after UFGT, so many people who went to that from SoCal came back home saying, "Oh man, like we gotta find something to deal with Morgan."
Right.
And that was the first time that I heard people really say like, "Okay, I'm gonna start working on my Strider team. I'm gonna start working on my Skrull team, my MODOK, my Dormammu," and although, I don't know whether it came up. I can't remember offhand whether there was a big SoCal player who had to play against Chris G and then had to bring out a separate team.
I don't remember now.
But they had definitely been working on that stuff just in case. And I don't know. I guess that hasn't happened in the East Coast, at least not in a major.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I had a thought, and I just completely lost my train of thought here. But it's just... This is what I want to say. Like when Kusuro came to final round, and he caught Filipino champ with that Frank West thing, where he X Factor rolled and then I can't control it into the anti-air super, right? Everyone was like, oh, everyone went crazy, right? There was a video of Kusuro doing that in the internet, already teaching people that, right? And it's been up for a while.
Right.
And everyone's like, oh, So it's just, it kind of shows that, there are definite things that we are not doing enough to maximize this game. DJ Divine actually had a really interesting post on Facebook that I really appreciated.
Okay.
And, he was like, everybody complaining about X Factor, look like it's not as bad as you think. And nobody's playing hard enough to force the opponent to use an X Factor, because you can kind of do that. And I commented on that thread, and I made a tweet about it too, that I feel like snapping out the second character right before you kill him, like don't kill him off, drain the second character down to a tiny bit of life and snap him out, and then the guy comes in, and one mix-up, if he dies, he essentially loses, right? So he's going to activate X Factor to save himself when he comes in, because it's just that natural reaction. And now, Wesker can be just as scary at level 2, but it's going to last 67% as long. There's these kind of strategies that I just don't think enough people are using. We're not thinking cleverly enough about the game yet, and so I still feel like there's a long way to go in this game.
Well, look, I don't think it's any accident that the guy who won Ultimate Marvel at EVO, Filipino champ, is the guy who puts in more time than anybody else, and who has two teams.
Yeah,
and has taken the time to play against everybody he can play against. I mean, they invite everybody up to that house.
Yeah,
they try to grind as much as they possibly can and investigate things and play creatively. And I don't think there's any coincidence that he's the guy who won.
Yeah, absolutely. So
okay, so I think we're gonna take a little bit of a break, and we'll be back with more Ultra Chen TV on Tuesday, something after this. All right, welcome back to Ultra Chen TV. And now we want to move past this Sanford thing. Oh, but first I want to make a quick correction. On Twitter, iPod Shun just had a little bit of a correction for us. As far as the top 3 characters at SBO, number 1 is Sagat with 7, then
right.
Cammy with 6,
Right.
then Dictator and Ken are tied with 5.
Okay.
So, a little bit of a correction there.
Wow,
But
there's 4 Yuns there?
4 Viper, 4 Yun, 4 Sakura, 4 Ryu, 3 Akuma. Wow, this is actually a pretty good
Fei Long.
balance. Look at this. And then it's like everybody else is 3 and 2.
Dude, none of the
And then
characters that...
Wow, it's like almost every character I bet is represented there. I'd like
So
to see
the
that.
only character that people say are top tier that are in the upper half is Cammy then? Like, Viper maybe.
maybe.
Viper has 4.
Well, Akuma's in there.
Yeah, but he's only got 3.
Yeah.
So Fei Long's 3. It's really interesting to me. It's just kind of interesting
Okay.
how that turned out.
It's a
that
pretty
way.
well-balanced game.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we do want to move on and talk more about Persona.
Yeah.
Persona 4 Arena. I know people already have it via import, but it's going to be coming out officially in the U.S. next week.
Tuesday next week. So the first thing I want to mention is that we're trying to invite James Shea, who's been pushing this game a lot. I think he streamed it from Evo, from the Persona booth and such. Hopefully we'll be able to get him on the show next week on Monday, and we'll do our standard, go through the game systems, go through the character stuff
Right.
on the Monday shows.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be next Monday that we talk all about Persona and really introduce it. As far as right now goes, my experience with the game has been watching it online, and then also I played it at E3 for a little bit.
Right.
And actually James was one of the guys who helped me kind of investigate it at Evo. So that was at E3.
Right.
So that's really my experience with the game. It's not very complex or not very like it's deep
Extensive,
so far,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's just kind of like basic.
Right.
But I'm really interested in it. And actually, you know what I also did was read Broken Tears.
Yeah. I was going through that today.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason why I wanted to talk about Persona 4
Yeah.
is today Alex Vai sent out a tweet, and he just asked everybody, so how's Street Fighter Cross Tekken? With these balance changes and these new characters, does it feel better?
Okay.
And he wanted to gauge it, and I mean, literally, he retweeted every answer he got.
Oh,
I swear.
interesting.
So it was
I
just
totally
like,
missed that.
It was just like this gigantic barrage of tweets from
Interesting.
him. And this, in turn, created the onslaught of tweets from me, because I would probably say like a ton of the tweets that came back that Vi retweeted were, SF Cross Tekken is done. There's no point. It's all about Persona 4 now.
Okay.
It's Persona 4 time. Oh, I'm not wasting my money. I'm buying Persona 4. But all this Persona 4 stuff, right? And I just tweeted one thing. I'm like, man, all you people out there who are saying that you're going to play Persona 4, you better damn well be playing Persona 4 when this game comes out. Because what happened when SF Cross Tekken first came out? Oh, stupid gems. This is all dumb. Whatever, blah. Skullgirls is the game. Let's all play Skull. This is the real game. And a month later, no one's playing Skullgirls, right? And so all these people talking about Persona, I got frustrated. And I was just like, dude, like, if you're saying that you're going to play Persona, you'd better play this game. Because what it feels like to me is people use games like Skullgirls and Persona and King of Fighters. They don't actually support these games. They're just using them as a tool to dog on Cross Tekken. Like, that's just how haters work, right? It's like, I'm not gonna, say, I'm not gonna actually support my game. I'm just gonna say, yo, Cross Tekken's ass, it's all about Persona, yeah! And then they'll never watch it, and then when the Persona comes on the stream, what is this garbage? Where's Marvel? It's like the same people who are saying that kind of thing. And so I'm saying, like, I'm frustrated, and I want people to back up what they're saying. Everyone keeps saying Persona 4 is a good game, it's a fun game, whatever like that. One, everyone who says that hasn't played it yet, right? And two, are they going to back up their words? Are they actually going to play this game? And that's kind of where all of a sudden I just went on this rampage on Twitter. Everyone responded to me, so I responded back. So it just turned into one of those big things. I had a productive day at work today.
yeah. I guess you did. I didn't actually see any of those tweets because I was actually at work. Yeah. I remember what you're talking about when Cross was newer and when Skullgirls was was out or on its way out. I forget which one came out first now. Yeah, there were a lot of people who said, screw this cross Tekken game for whatever reason. I mean, I think a lot of people gave it a chance at the start.
Right.
A little bit into it, people have started to drop it, and we're going to supposedly go over to Skullgirls. That's the case here. I mean, I can't speak for everywhere else in the world. I have no idea, but certainly we heard a ton of that out of SoCal and out of people who just like randomly message us on Twitter and stuff. That was a really common statement. And then it totally did not pan out, like, at all. Like, Skullgirls just really didn't get that much play. It really didn't. And it's it was sad to me. I mean, I guess I can't be too upset because I was definitely part of the problem. I mean, I was trying to pump it, but at the same time not really playing it myself because I was practicing and studying up on Marvel and Street Fighter and KOF and Cross, and the game is basically that I had to commentate more often. So that I was definitely guilty of focusing on other things rather than Skullgirls, even though I said I was going to.
Right. I mean, part of that is also a lot of people have said, it's Evo, right? When
Yeah,
games are at Evo. Exactly. And Persona happens to come out at a time where Evo's ended.
Right.
And it almost feels like to me, if you're going to release an experimental game, release it like right after Evo, and then you might get more play into it.
I can see that. I mean, Skullgirls just had sort of an unfortunate time, I guess. It came out at a time when KOF was also on the uprise. Right. So like Cross Tekken is dying off, and Skullgirls and KOF are like the two games that are new and everybody's kind of enthralled with.
There's like a Soul Calibur out there.
Sure. So yeah, of course, yeah. But so that happened to Skullgirls. Then it turned out that the game was not as balanced as it could be and had a few issues. And then Evo came around, and so I was like, okay, well, for the next month or two, I'm not going to play Skullgirls. I'm going to focus on these other games. Right. Then Evo ended, and now I'm waiting for the patch. Right. So like it's just kind of like an unfortunate set of things that have happened to that game. As regarding the other game that you brought up, King of Fighters. A lot of people I recall in particular after NorCal Regionals, saw how Street Fighter Cross Tekken was sort of shaping up in the early times and just decided that they hated the game. And where, some people mention Skullgirls, some people mention KOF. Oh, actually, a lot of people mention KOF.
Yes, a lot of people.
And from what I can tell, that actually has been happening, don't you think? And people have really been playing the game a lot more and watching the game a lot more and studying the game a lot more. It feels to me like I can go play KOF most nights of the week now if I had the time. And I think that is happening. So anyway, that's all a long intro to saying that I think that people probably will actually play Persona for a couple reasons. One, it's not going to run into the things that Skullgirls did. It's been out. We not here, but it's been already played in Japanese arcades for quite a while, and so it doesn't look like it's running into some of the things that Skullgirls did, where it becomes combo exhibition and stuff like that. Right. That's not really an issue. So as far as we can tell, and it's not running into the same kind of time problems that Skullgirls ran into, and it's also not running into a simultaneous competitor in the form of KOF versus Skullgirls. Right. I mean, it does sort of run up against Skullgirls because that's still around, and when the patch comes out, presumably a lot of people will go back to it and try it out again. So there is a conflict to some extent, but I expect that, frankly, that Persona will be the one that comes out ahead on that. Right. And yeah, so I do think that people are really going to play it. I hope that they do.
The one thing that's very interesting to me about Persona 4 is I started watching videos today. Okay. Right? I've had basically no Persona 4 exposure. And, I've always said this. I'm not the kind of person that talks smack about things and then doesn't follow up on it. I hate being a hypocrite, right, in a lot of ways. I'm sure someone's going to mention something about Cammy on there. But in any case, I'm sitting there talking about Persona, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go watch these videos. I'm going to start learning about this game. So I started reading the Broken Tier articles, and I started watching it and stuff like that. And then the first thing that just came to my attention was, this is Guilty Gear. I was like, holy crap, this game is Guilty Gear. I mean, obviously, Arx is the same developer who made Guilty Gear and BlazBlue, is making this game. Yeah. But I feel like it's like BlazBlue and Guilty Gear, like, again, like, I see so many, like, things that come back.
Okay.
Like, some of the characters look like they have news attack from BlazBlue. The girl with the fan reminds me of Angie from Guilty Gear, and just a lot of things. And there's bursts in the game. There was Roman cancels in the game, and all this other stuff. And I was like, holy crap, this is like another Guilty Gear game. So I got excited because I love Guilty Gear, right? So now all of a sudden I'm just like, holy crap, I totally want to play this game so badly, right? Now, the interesting thing is BlazBlue and Guilty Gear are both two games that are notoriously like not played as much as a lot of the other games. Guilty Gear, of course, has never had the benefit of being around in the Street Fighter 4 era.
That's very true.
But BlazBlue was pretty much, it just never caught on.
Right.
Right? And so I want to believe Persona 4 is going to be played.
Okay.
I want to believe everyone's going to play it. But if BlazBlue is like any kind of indication where the game starts becoming a big kind of combo, crazy okizeme, like mix up, you know, kind of game, is it going to suffer the same kind of fate? You know, obviously, some people are like, dude, it's the #1 game in Japan. Of course it's going to be popular over here.
Right.
Yeah, Virtua Fighter was the #1 game in Japan. Melty Blood was the #1 game.
Right.
Arcana Hearts was a popular game.
Right.
Hey, look how well those are being played over here. You know,
Gundam and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm at a point right now where I'm really holding this fighting game community right now to their word that everybody's sitting there saying Persona's going to succeed. I'm going to play Persona. Let's wait. Like, let's talk about this again in September. Let's talk about this again in October.
Okay.
And we'll see where we're at. Okay? Because I'm holding everyone to their word right now. Everyone says they're going to play this game. Everyone says it looks hype. Let's see what happens. I'm very curious. I'm skeptical because I've seen this too many times. And I know how people are. They bandwagon on things, but they never actually jump on the wagon.
Yeah.
It's like they're chasing the wagon the whole time going, yeah, and then when they can't catch it, they're like, whatever, they turn around and walk away.
Okay.
Right? So it's just like, I'm curious to see what's going to happen.
Okay. I mean, I do expect that it'll be played. I don't think that BlazBlue is that great of a comparison, even though, you know, they're both made by the same developer and have some similarities, but like, you know, okay, obviously I played Guilty Gear for a month or two and then dropped it. It wasn't my favorite game. I'm just going to come out with that. I stuck with Third Strike and CVS instead. So BlazBlue, I tried out, and I just didn't like it that much. The character who I really wanted to play, Tager, just seemed like I had to do nothing for 90 seconds and hope that I ran into somebody. It was like so frustrating. So I stopped. But from what other people who actually play the game tell me, they didn't really like it that much. I don't understand why, because like I said, I just never got into it, and like I don't have a great foundation in that style of game anyway. So I can't really say. But those people who seem to not be too hype about BlazBlue are now super hype about Persona. Like a lot of the exact same people.
Yes.
So that gives me hope that the people who do understand this style of fighting game and have experience with it, that they're hype about it when they weren't hype about a game that didn't do that great in BlazBlue is a good sign to me. And there are lots of people who are gonna give it a chance again. Like I'll play it for sure. Like I'm definitely gonna try it out. Yes, I'm going to be playing kanji. Yeah,
I was about to say, like, how did everybody, like, the whole chat is going ultra kanji. I'm like, wow.
I've mentioned it before. When I played it, at E3, the only character I even tried out was kanji.
Right.
I mean, how can I resist, right? He's a grappler. He wields a chair. Like, it's rad.
It's a chair.
It's so sick. It's
like the closest thing to a table flip I can get.
Right? Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. So, like, okay, obviously you know who I'm going to be playing. But I'm going to try it out, even though I don't really have that much experience in these games. I always tried them out. Like I said, I tried out BlazBlue and Guilty. Didn't love them that much. I'm hoping that it'll be different this time. But I guess we'll see. I've heard from so many other people that they're going to try this game out that, you know, I expect that maybe not all of them will, but that some reasonable enough percentage of them will to keep that game alive.
Right.
So when we were talking a couple weeks ago about which games we thought would make it to EVO next year.
Oh, right.
And I said that I thought that there was a problem with this, with Skullgirls, Persona, and Guilty Gear.
Right.
Having a similar set of players playing each of the games. I still kind of stand by that. It seems that Skullgirls is kind of dropping off. That makes me sad. Because I would still love to play it, and like I said, I actually have been playing it a little bit.
The patch comes out.
I
soon,
really hope
right?
that the patch does. Yeah, exactly. But I do feel that there is that issue. That's the only issue that I can see for this game. But other than that, I definitely think that people will try it out and will play it. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, the game looks fascinating to me. I mean, just watching it already, there's so much about it that just seems so Guilty Gear-ish to me. You know, there's definitely a lot about it that feels very Blaze Blue to me as well, because Blaze Blue had the drive button, and in this game you have the Persona button.
Right.
So it's kind of similar. I mean, one of the complaints that I heard from Guilty Gear players going to Persona is that there wasn't, like, the fact that they lost buttons. Like, Guilty Gear had 5 attacks, 5 buttons. Blaze Blue only had 4, and one of them was this drive button.
Right.
I don't know what the button scheme for Persona is.
It's
right?
4.
It's 4?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's 3 attacks and a Persona button,
Right.
basically. So it's going to be similar to Blaze Blue. So I'm just wondering, like, if people are going to have the same kind of complaint that there doesn't seem to be enough variety in the game. Well, variety of attacks and stuff like that. You know.
I mean, was that
I'm
really
curious.
a complaint in Blaze Blue? I don't even know. Like,
That's what a lot of Guilty Gear players told me.
That's
actually.
pretty stupid.
Yeah.
It's a pretty bad reason, to be
I don't know.
honest.
Actually, now that I think about it, it might have been Marn who said that. So
Oh,
I
really?
might have
Okay,
to
because I'm
discount that.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
of like Virtua Fighter where there's a trillion moves and
Right,
there's 3
exactly,
buttons. So.
exactly.
Yeah,
So-
that's a pretty bad reason. But okay.
But yeah, in any case, I mean, you know, I hope people play the game. I mean, it looks fun. It looks like it's going to be a really cool game, and I want more massively played games. You know, I'm glad KOF had so many people at EVO. You know, but honestly, there's no reason why we can't have all 6 games be like 800 people or more. Mm-hmm. You know, and you know, if we can have games like KOF, Marvel, Street Fighter, and then Persona. You know, and like 2 other games get to that point. Tekken Tag 2.
I would expect that it would.
Right. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
So the hardest part, obviously, is the time. Where do we find the time to play all these
That's
games?
my issue, dude.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. But, hey, I know that I'll give it a try. I hope that I'll like it. I know a lot of people are going to give it a try, and I've already heard from people that they like it. People who have gotten the imports like it. And, you know, like we mentioned at the start of the segment, hopefully we'll have that on the show next Monday and Tuesday.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, so stick around for that. We'll put out an announcement as soon as we confirm it, and then we'll go over the systems and the characters. I'm deathly curious because I honestly don't know anything about the system right now, except that there are bursts and Roman cancels and supers. Yeah. That's all I saw. So.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll figure that out. All right. So we'll take a quick break, and then we'll be back with more after this.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Tuesday something. Yeah. Well, the last thing that we want to talk about today, obviously, today was the day that the Cross Tekken patch came out, which kind of spurred on my whole Twitter thing indirectly. All 12 characters are out now.
Yes.
Available for purchase for $20. You have no choice. You have to buy them all.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't just like, I like Cody and get Cody. And then, of course, patch fixes. And apparently also something snuck on the store as well, which is the quick combo editor.
Okay.
And so, you know, for a long time you could assign your quick combos and there were only 2.
Yeah.
And you had 2 buttons. And it was like, this doesn't make any sense. Well, they came out with the quick combo editor, and I just want to say that this thing is the most broken thing in the world. It's going to be banned from tournaments because you're not going to let people program their combos in there.
Yeah.
But there are so many practical applications to this thing that I don't think people are aware of.
Okay.
It is the most ridiculous thing ever. Well, for one thing, so Cammy has that combo, stand roundhouse, instant dive kick, stand fierce drill, stand fierce uppercut if they're in the corner or whatever like that.
How much damage does that do?
Dude, it's like ridiculous amount of damage. I programmed that like in my first try.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
So,
crazy. That
For the cost of 1 meter online, you can be guaranteed that lag will not break your combo.
Wow.
And I programmed this gigantic combo.
Uh-huh. It costs meters.
Yeah, it costs 1 meter to do it, and if you do EXs in the middle, which I had an EX drill in there, so it'll cost me 2 meters to do this combo, right? But still, for 2 meters, I can do all this
Like,
stuff.
what is it, like 500 damage, 600 damage?
Something like that, yeah. Guaranteed.
So basically it's like a super that does double the damage of a super.
Yeah, pretty much. It's better
it's the
than a
same
super.
amount of meter and does double the damage. Okay,
Right.
pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they're not going to be allowed in tournaments.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
No
Plus,
way.
it costs money to buy this thing.
Yeah,
as well,
it costs money. Like, I don't even know how you would do that practically speaking. Like, how would you show up with the combo that you recorded at home?
Right.
Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be pretty crazy online, I guess, if people look into actually doing it like that. And
Actually, one more thing that I don't think they even remotely thought of. So when you did the quick combos right now, the available ones.
yeah,
Balrog's quick combo was like low jab, headbutt, kick rush, kick rush.
okay. Oh, right.
You can't do kick rush because
Right.
you can't charge up in time. So obviously, quick combos ignore charge time,
Yeah.
right? So as soon as I found out about the quick combo editor, you know what the first thing I thought of? I'm going to program my quick combo to be flash kick. That's it. So now if I'm Guile and I throw a sonic boom and you have this much life left and I have 1 bar and you jump at me, quick combo, flash kick, instant flash kick. If I'm Bison, I can't get in. My quick combo is going to be short scissor kick. So I'm going to walk up to you and for 1 meter, I've started my offense now.
Interesting.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if they thought of that.
Interesting.
But I think it's going to be so practical for charge characters.
That makes complete sense. Have you tried it to make sure that that's still a thing?
I need to try it.
Yeah, we gotta try that out.
Sure, yeah, but I don't think that this is not. I don't think they thought of it.
I'm sure
They're
you're
not
right.
going to be careful of it.
I'm sure you're right. So, okay, awesome. That sounds really cool.
Yeah. So.
All right. So, as far as the stuff that will be allowed in tournament, though, like the characters,
Right.
I had a chance to mess around with the characters a bit today. Like I said, I couldn't even take the time to be on Twitter all day, so I didn't have that much time to screw around. But
See, I was tweeting. You were playing.
right, exactly. Yeah, when I had free time.
We had productive work days.
Right. Yeah. My free time today definitely went to that. I spent a lot of time with some of the new characters. I really like Jack. I think Jack is a super good character. He hits like a crazy truck. Like 400 damage is like nothing.
Really?
For this. It's so easy.
Jeez.
And I'm sure that there are fancier combos that'll be 600 and above. And he has huge range. His normals take up like a giant amount of space. And he has Seismo, like Viper Seismo. Yeah, that like goes to the full screen. You know, like Viper Seismo is like
Right.
it's like full screen. And it does 2 hits, which makes it last long enough that Geef actually can't lariat through.
Really?
And you can switch cancel out of the Seismos and like do a combo from like full screen. Like if somebody like whiffs something stupid from full screen, you're like Seismo switch cancel, boom.
The guy will run all the way up, and you can continue.
Well,
the
it
combo.
depends on the character.
Okay.
Like
okay.
it's yeah. So yeah, it's crazy. He's my pick for like early. Well, I don't even know about early, but like I think he'll probably be one of the best of the new cast.
Yeah.
I spent a little bit of time with the other characters. Like they're not frankly that interesting to me. I know a lot of people were really stoked about some of the characters that are in now, but like they don't really float my boat that much. So not a big deal to me. The patch is not like a comprehensive balance patch.
Right. They said they're going to try to do something more extensive later on, but they
Right.
wanted to fix some of the immediate problems right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So there were things changed that, for example, Ryu's Hurricane Kick doesn't cross up anymore. I heard that Ken's Air Hurricane Kick doesn't have as good a hitbox anymore. Ryu Donkey Kick is now always unsafe.
I can't believe they nerfed offense.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was going to say. I think that those are such strange decisions. And I understand that people didn't like having to deal with cross-up Hurricane Kick fine. And the hitbox on Hornet is like crazy good, or was crazy good. And that's annoying too. And it's annoying, I guess, to be pressured in your face with Donkey Kick, normal Donkey Kick.
Right.
Fine. This is a game that's not easy to build and maintain offense with. And if their solution to fixing what ails the game is to nerf offense, then I don't like the way that the game is headed, frankly. I really don't. So I think that's really strange. The game has a ton of evolution left in it. I mean,
Yeah.
just today I posted up a new GIF option select.
Yeah, I saw those.
So on any knockdown, any hard knockdown, which he only has hard knockdowns as far as I'm concerned, because I always combo into sweep. On any knockdown, you follow the opponent with green hand. If they roll away, you green hand over to them. If they stay still, you green hand to them there. You can set it up such that
it autocorrects.
It autocorrects, yeah.
Okay.
And you can set it up so that either the green hand whiffs or it does done as a media attack that's safe on block, which you can hide another option select into. Right, so like it's there, and then I looked it up for Nina, who's the other character I play, and she has a very similar thing with her command dash. So I'm sure just like a ton of characters have this.
Okay.
So ultimately, you don't really have to worry about roll all that much as we had thought, I think.
Okay.
So anyway, I think that the game does have a lot of evolution left, but I don't know whether we're going to get to see that, really.
Yeah. And the one thing I want to mention that I tweeted to Alex when he asked about it, my biggest concern was that we have 12 new characters that came along with the balance patch, right? Who's to say these 12 characters aren't broken? So
well, yeah, or just terrible.
Right,
so, like,
exactly.
Some of
broken
them,
in either way, yeah.
Right, Blanca does not seem good.
Yeah.
Right,
So, it's a shame that they had to come out now, and then maybe one of them might be too good, like Jack, and maybe Blanca's horrible. And some people put down, like, Blanca has that block stun infinite, that chip infinite, if you, like, fall behind him when he's doing electricity, and electricity sucks you in, so you, like, get stuck in block stun forever. But you're not in block stun forever. Ryan Hunter already kind of disproved that. Because the video, he blocks it all day, and then he finally gets hit by the last one after the life drains. Like, oh, okay, I showed it to you, and he gets hit. And if you can get hit by it, that means you can reversal.
Do you get meter for blocking?
You do.
So it's just like free meter into alpha counter, into big damage?
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, so I'm
yeah.
not worried about that then.
And it's so impossible to set up. Like,
Yeah.
you watch the video, it's like
it's like
match combo video setup timing, like to get
Interesting.
Blanca to reel in the sonic booms
Interesting.
and stuff like that. So it's not even like real. It's not even a problem.
So the real question in my mind is whether this update ultimately matters. And I've read a lot of people's complaints and comments online and in the chat and all sorts of other places. They don't know whether it's worth picking up this $20 worth of new characters and slight balance tweaks.
Well, the balance tweaks are free. The patch is free.
True. Okay, so they don't know whether it's worth paying the $20 to get the new characters.
Yes.
Because there's no actual fixes to the game, right? And their complaint is with the game. Some of the things were annoying to them, like jab, like Rolento jab was nerfed, like Raven is nerfed a little bit. Right. Those things are not that bad, but the things that people really complained about, roll and hugeness of stage and the fact that long combos don't seem useful and like all these things, none of that has actually changed. And I've seen a lot of skepticism for people who are not sure why they would pay $20 into a game that they feel has been all about milking them and that they feel has not like done anything in terms of trying to make itself actually better.
Yeah, the only hope, honestly, that I really have left for this game. I mean, when I made that tweet, like, oh, you guys are better be playing Persona, I wasn't trying to defend Cross Tekken at all. I was just saying, you guys are saying you want to. So a lot of people interpret it like, why are you running away from Cross Tekken? No, I don't care. But you just better play Persona when you said you're going to play Persona. But the one thing that gives me hope about this game is that, is it Ayano-san? I think that's Ayano, who's the guy who's working on it. I forgot his name.
Oh, I think that sounds right.
Yeah. So he basically said that this patch was to address small things right now, that they're still looking into big changes.
Right.
And in fact, the iOS version of Cross Tekken actually has a really interesting mechanic. Or was it the Android version?
Yeah, I forget which one it is, but yeah, I remember.
Yeah, there's like crazy mechanics in that game, which I feel like is them experimenting.
I think you're right. So
I hope that's a sign that they are willing to just take this game and be like, okay, let's go. I mean, I hope they're willing to do that, because to be honest with you, I feel like that's kind of what this game needs. I really do.
I don't agree. I mean, I feel like the game has a lot going for it, but then enough stupid BS on top of it, and enough good games that came out simultaneously that there's like not much sense for a lot of people in really digging into the actual good game that's like buried underneath. Like the way that I picture it is like there's like this mound of like BS and nonsense, and underneath there's like a nice little treasure chest, and it's got some money in there. It's not
Yeah.
the richest treasure chest, but there's a little bit of money in there. And is it worth like getting through this whole mound, or like do you want to just go open the treasure chest that's like 5 feet over there? It's sitting out in the open. It's like that kind of situation. Like why bother? But I am bothering again because I hope that the patch will be interesting enough and not so disruptive to the game that the current game is completely gone and my research and whatever is not totally gone.
Okay. And I mean, I guess the last thing we should mention was, Justin versus Ricky. Unfortunately, it was a mirror match, but it was super close at that Capcom tournament.
Right, yeah,
And there was definitely a lot of mind games and strategies going on in that game.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, the Capcom 25th Anniversary Tournament Series started last weekend in Austin, Texas, and the Street Fighter X Tekken Grand Finals were Justin Wong versus Ricky Ortiz, and it was Rufus Chun-Li versus Rufus Chun-Li. Right. So I continue to think that it's a big shame that people don't see guys like Tatsu and Richard Wynn and Andy and Jibbo and Ryan Hunter and people like that who have investigated the game to the point where it looks interesting and like not boring in the slightest.
Right.
But we just haven't, and that's really too bad. I hope that at some point we'll get to see that. I feel like these Capcom tournaments are like the last chance for the game.
And it's the most interesting thing to me was that after it was done, Ricky and Justin tweeted like, "Wow, see, the game can be fun. We had fun." And I think therein lies the problem with Cross Tekken, in that it is a fun game to play, hard to watch.
I definitely think you're right that it is a much more interesting game to play than to watch. I think that there are strategies to the game and strategic angles to the game that are cool, right? Like I mention this all the time, but I like treating the timer like it's the most important meter on the screen. I think that is really cool.
Yeah.
I think that's a mechanic that no other game has. So that seems fun to me.
Right.
As far as watching it goes, people don't really want to see the timer go down to the bottom 20 seconds like every single game.
Yeah. There's a reason why
it's not that fun to watch, unfortunately.
There's a reason why when a character dies at the end of the round, everyone goes, "Oh!" because you got that hit in. But when the timer drains to 0, nobody goes, "Oh!"
Right.
It just doesn't happen.
So when Justin versus Ricky happened, I enjoyed watching it. I appreciated the spacing and the mix-ups and all the stuff that was going on. But it was kind of tiring because it just takes a long time.
I like that. You know how we always say like Marvel's like football, Street Fighter, KOF is soccer or whatever like that. Someone said that Cross Tekken is like golf. It's more fun to play than it is to watch.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad analogy.
Yep.
I mean, I continue to think that Cross, like I just said, has a lot going for it, and that it can be a fun game. And I'm doing my parts again. I took a long time off from the game, but doing my part again to try to make it into a fun game. So I guess I'll keep that up. But I just don't know whether these new characters and this slight balance patch are enough to keep people interested in it, or to even do anything until the real balance patch comes out, the real intended fix to the game comes out. It's really unfortunate that that's not simultaneous with the release of the new characters, because I think that could have done a lot. But oh well.
Okay. Well, do we know if there's any cross counter on
I don't
TV?
think there is a cross counter.
Because Mike Ross is heading towards Japan right now. He's going to be entering the last chance qualifier tournament.
Yeah, I don't think that there is
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Nope.
Right.
Okay, so, but, yeah, I don't know, is there any last thoughts you want to talk about? Anything else you want to bring up before we call it a night?
I don't think so. I guess just to continue, just one last thing on Cross Tekken. If you're thinking about picking up the characters, but you don't want to get bamboozled or like pay more money into a game that you felt like a little screwed out of some money on stuff. My only advice is I think the game can be fun, and I think that some of the new characters are really interesting to me. I know that some of the new characters are interesting to other people who appreciate different types of play styles. And, I guess wait until I saw that Jibbo and Ryan Hunter were thinking about doing a big like expose on the new characters soon, so I guess we'll provide links to that.
Dude, I just want Ryan Hunter, Arturo Sanchez, Jibbo, Tatsu, and all these guys just to sit down. Like, I wish that there was a way we could fly them into one home and just grind on this game and just stream it and record the matches, because I think that would be amazing. I
think that'd be really cool too. Because they play it. They play it in a different way. If you've never seen, actually, here's something you should do. Go to youtube.com/automatic MATTOCK
Okay. That's
and
Jibbo.
see. Yeah, that's Jibbo's, and that's. Then you can see like how they actually play the game. There are very long sets of them playing online and using characters that are not commonly seen, like Bob and stuff.
Right.
And like making them look pretty cool. Then there's one other channel that is youtube.com/SSF4AE that actually has ironically stuff from Cross Tekken in addition to. Let me just make sure that's the right one. Or maybe not. Actually, maybe that's Kim's. What was it? Well, I don't know. I guess I.
We'll tweet it out
so
later.
it's SSF4 Evo. Yeah, we'll tweet out both of those.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
We'll tweet out both of those and put it in the video description link when this is on YouTube. Right. So you can actually see what the game is like when it's played in a little more interesting way.
Yeah, I mean, Jibbo. I think it was Jibbo who said that he played. It was him or Ryan Hunter. They played like a super long set with Tatsu. And there was like no timeouts, they said.
Yeah, because that's not really what the game is like if you can play it stronger. Also,
remind everybody too that if you did sign up for Cross Tekken at Evo, check your emails, because the emails went out for the. So basically, if you entered Cross Tekken at Evo, you got free DLC code for the characters. So if you signed up for Evo with an email address you never check, go check that. You may have a code to get all 12 characters for free in your mailbox right now. So
okay, cool. Well, there you go. All right, so I guess that's it for tonight.
Yep.
Like we said, we hope to be back next week, next Monday and Tuesday, with Persona 4 Arena and a little bit of an expose on that. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we'll get that. In the meantime, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll have the videos up on YouTube within a couple days.
All right. Peace out, everyone.